Hello, everyone. Now it's on. Okay. Good evening. Welcome. I am Susan Call, the events advisor here at Politics and Prose, and it's my pleasure to welcome you. This is somewhat unbelievably our last in-store event of 2025, although we do have an event on Sunday with Walter Isaacson at Sidwell Friends School, and later in the month with Patti Smith at Lincoln Theater. So please take a look at our website for details about those and our great lineup already posted for early next year. Before we get started, just a reminder to silence your cell phones, and also during our Q&A, we have a microphone right there. We ask that you go up to the mic with your questions because we are filming this event. It is my pleasure to welcome Christina Kovac this evening for her psychological thriller that's set here in DC called Watch Us Fall, and today is her pub date, so we're really happy. Oh, hang on. The book involves a group of three best friends, a decaying house in Georgetown, and a hot investigative reporter who goes missing, all of which sounds great and is, of course, going to be a good book to pick up for any readers of thrillers who happen to be on your holiday gift list. The book, as I said, is out today, and Booklist has called it a thrilling psychological mystery. And the Library Journal says that Kovac has written a superb suspense that will keep readers on tenterhooks. Christina Kovac is also the author of a previous novel, The Cutaway. She worked for 17 years managing Washington, D.C. newsrooms and producing crime and political stories in the district. Her career as a television journalist began with Fox 5's 10 o'clock news, and after that at the ABC affiliate in Washington, and then at NBC News. Christina will be in conversation with Angie Kim, the New York Times bestselling author of Happiness Falls, which was a Good Morning America and Barnes & Noble Book Club pick, among other accolades. And she also wrote Miracle Creek, which was an Edgar winner and one of Time's 100 best mysteries and thrillers of all time. So please help me welcome Christina Kovac and Angie Kim.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here on this cold day. Okay, I am beaming. Can you tell that I'm just beaming? I feel like the proud aunt or like midwife or something. I feel like I feel auntie, okay, of this book, because Christina and I have been friends since what, like 2017, something like that?
I feel like it's longer.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it was, maybe 2016. Anyway, so we wrote our second books together, side by side. We talked each other through everything. We like told each other the premise when we wouldn't tell anybody else. We went to the beach together at her mom's beautiful beach house. Sharon, raise your hand. And Tom, thank you, Sharon and Tom, thank you. Without your lovely beach house, I'm not sure that either of us would be here today.
The books would not have
The
made
books
it.
would not have been written. And I feel like we did this together. So if I get a little teary, please forgive me. But I'm just so proud of this book. I'm just so fucking proud of this book. And so let's just get that out there. All right. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about the raves that this book has already gotten. And today is the pub day. So let's actually start. I asked all of you who were downstairs to please bring up a glass of something that we can toast you with. I hope somebody is like, I don't know, like doing a selfie of this or something. But anyway, I want to say happy launch day, Christina. We are so happy for you. Watch Us Fall is amazing, and I hope everybody here loves it half as much as I do. Here, congratulations. Here.
Thank you.
Okay. So I want to start by bragging about this book a little bit, as a proud auntie should do. It's gotten so much praise already. And we're less than 24 hours into the publishing cycle, for its beautiful writing, for its complex characters, its unmatched suspense and mystery elements that make it just impossible to put down. And I know about this very well, by the way, because I had to wait for months between, like, I would get one batch of pages and I would be like, oh my God, what happens next? And then she wouldn't give me the next batch of pages for like 3 months. And I would be like, what is happening? What's going to happen? So there were some of the beautiful reviews that Susan already read out. But I also loved Lou Burney, one of my favorite writers, who wrote that this is the kind of puzzle that keeps you guessing on every page, which I totally agree with. And then Alex Finlay, another one of my favorite writers, and in the audience tonight over there, yay, and whose last book, I know that, which I know that Christina has been talking about and recommending to like all the book clubs that she's been talking to. She's been talking to many.
Sorry.
And so Alex said that this book is one of the best psychological thrillers of the year, and I totally agree. And Crime Spree, which said that this is, quote, a stellar suspense novel with more layers than a Russian nesting doll. Watch Us Fall consists of careful patchwork of several storylines uniting characters that matter to us. Not everyone is blameless or reliable, but Kovac engages in masterful trickery to prevent us from knowing the truth too soon. It is in plain sight, yet completely hidden, which is what a masterful suspense writer does. So I toast to you, Christina. Brava. Yay. So I'm going to let you talk, since this is supposed to be your reading,
No, really,
and not me
you're
just
doing
going
great.
on and on. So I would love to ask you to tell us what the story is for those in the audience who haven't read the book yet, and then we'll go from there. Yeah. So tell us about the story.
Okay, so Watch Us Fall is a psychological thriller, and it's set in Washington, D.C., present day. And it's about a woman named Lucy. She's a post-grad, and she lives with 3 of her best friends from college. They went to college together in Georgetown. They're living a really great life in this rickety, old, wonderful row house in Georgetown. And
On O Street.
On O Street. You know, the ones with like the cable, the cobblestones. And the boyfriend of her best friend has been acting peculiar. And next thing they know, during a big snowstorm, he disappears. The girls right away decide that they want to find this guy because he's been acting a bit strange, and also because of the snow, and also because it makes absolutely no sense that a guy like the ex-boyfriend, who is a famous celebrity TV anchor, wouldn't have shown up at his job. So they set out to find this guy, and suspicion boomerangs on them.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to tease you guys a little bit who haven't read this by asking you to read a little bit from the very beginning. This is a reading, after all, and also because I love the voices in this novel. This is a book that's told in two. I'm going to here. You can use this. So this is a novel that's told in 2 voices. One is Lucy's first person POV, and then the second is Josh, the missing man's third person voice. Both are such amazing voices, and what I asked Christina to read for you a little bit from is from the prologue. And I have to say that the first time I read it, this prologue, which is the first thing that I read of this novel, I was seething with jealousy and envy that she had like written this thing and that I hadn't. And I was just like, and I had to remind myself that I actually did like you and that you were a friend of mine. And but other than that, I would have been like, I hate you. But it's so good, and it changed a little bit, but the voice has remained the same. And so please read us this amazing voice. I just love it so much.
People still talk about what happened to Addie and Josh. Some of what they say is true, most of it not. You know how people are. I figured the talk would drift away like fog across the Potomac, but there'd always been something intriguing about the two of them. Maybe it was their doomed romance, the fairy tale told with that final nasty twist. Maybe it was Josh's celebrity. Everyone thought they knew him, thought they knew what happened, but they didn't. Who could? We didn't even know. I had what my mother used to call the catbird seat. For a long time, Addie and I were best friends, and that was everything to me. She called me her sister. We watched each other's back. I nursed her through heartbreak with Josh, or I tried to anyway. I was in the middle of it all. Even now, I still see them. Addie with her strong cheeks and pixie-cut black hair, her warm copper brown skin like a penny in the sun. In my mind, she's always running. On a good day, it's towards me. Sometimes I imagine Josh still there alongside her, as though he couldn't get close enough. The golden guy with his father's face and eyes like gas burners that made you feel seen. He really should have known better. Not everyone wants to be seen.
So I wanted to ask you first about the origin story of this. You have been so busy this last month writing article after article, essay after essay, and one of the essays you talked about, running into a bunch of girls and, St. Elmo's fire and all of that sort of stuff. And it just so struck me. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, you know how weird it is in the beginning of a novel. You're like, oh my God, what am I writing about? And it just feels like everything's coming from everywhere at once. But I knew that I had to write a book. I had to write a second book. I was in contract. It's like, crap. What am I going to? I don't need that. And I was like, what am I going to write about? And this was during COVID when we were all stuck inside. And I got so sick of being stuck inside. And my sweet mother, and Tom, my father, they were kind enough to let me stay at their house. And I hiked on to Aztec Island one day. And I came around a bend, and there was this gorgeous tree. And it was, it's enormous. I've tried to take pictures of it, and there's just nothing to really show how big it is and extraordinary and beaten down by, the winds and the hurricanes and it's just, but there's this really huge tree in the middle of this barrier island. And there were 4 girls on these limbs, and they were just goofing off. And they were so happy. They were, hitting against each other and laughing. And I thought, yeah, I really miss that. I miss being with my friends. I really, I want to write a book about female friendship, and I want to write a book about 4 women, and I want to write a book about women who don't want to be pulled apart. And that was the first image. And I never really got rid of it. So I took the tree right there in the middle of Aztec Island. I moved it to the Potomac River.
I love that. And there are 2 scenes I remember pretty early on that I read from this book that just stayed with me and kind of haunted me. And they were of these 4 women who are post-grads, who had recently graduated from Georgetown and undergrad. And And there were two scenes. One is kind of like on a summer day, summery kind of day, warm day, when they are swimming in a hidden part of what to me seemed like, I don't know, CNO, Rock Creek, something like that. And then another scene where on a winter day they were on top of the roof of their house on O Street in Georgetown, and it's snowing, and they are just like kicking off their heels, and they are dancing with each other, just drinking and dancing and being goofy and silly. And I just love this image, these two images juxtaposed, the summer and the winter. Are these the kinds of friendships that you had? Did you like model this on any of your like friendship groups or anything like that? Because it's just the kind of thing that you wish you could have,
I don't think, where's Kim? No, we never hung out on rooftops. Our heels were too high.
Oh, Kim, yeah.
No, so the tree, I moved to the Potomac, and I put I just, when I left those girls in Assateague, I kept thinking about them, and I thought, oh, how cool would it be if they had this little hideaway in this tree, and they could jump in the Potomac, which don't do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, like, none of you do.
Really? Because you make it seem really idyllic from the scene in the novel. I was like, oh, I'm not really a strong swimmer, but maybe I should do that.
No, so it was just sort of, to me, it was like a beginning. So that was a flashback.
Yes.
And then the ending is the rooftop
Yeah.
in the snow,
Yeah.
in the blue.
Yeah. And I mean, these characters, they're suite mates at Georgetown together, and so they call themselves the Sweeties. And it also reminded me a lot of St. Elmo's Fire, just because of the whole Georgetown thing. And it made me actually like rewatch the movie, which I insisted that my kids who are in their 20s do. And they like were like, this is like one of your favorite movies of all time? Really? But you wrote about that particular feeling.
Well,
right?
I did, and I tried to make my daughter watch with me. And she's like, "Mom, this does not hold up at all.
Oh.
This is a horrible movie."
Yeah. It's a good thing you didn't go to Georgetown. You didn't
not
call
hold
it
up.
horrible. Okay, all right. And it I mean, to me, it and a lot of your reviews have focused on the friendships, and for good reason. The friendships between the women are so strong and so intense, but and including, so everything is so intense and fierce, like including their loyalty to each other. But I feel like, to me, this is also, in addition to that, a story about love, romantic love. And there's a rave review that I think just came out that likened Josh, who is the man who goes missing in the beginning of the book, as they call him the best of leading men. And they say, above all else, Josh's narration makes him likable. His love is the stuff of good romance movies, as opposed to, the rather, pedestrian rom-coms. And he's haunted by his own demons. He makes us turn the pages faster because we want to know where he is, because we like him, and that we want to know that he's safe. I love Josh's voice, which is a third-person voice. He's funny, he's real, and he's very flawed. And he is an investigative journalist. He is a star reporter, an anchor, and also the son of a former presidential candidate. And I wanted to know, like, where did Josh come from? And, like, how does your own journalism background factor into this?
So my background, I would only say that Josh is the kind of reporter I would want to be in terms of his work ethic. One of the things that I really like about thrillers is when they kind of humanize both sides. So in a psychological thriller, you're really just sort of you're taking stories and trying to figure out what's the right story. And the characters are too. The characters have these like horrible blind spots. Just like we do. I mean, they're human. And so Josh, to me, was he had to be someone that Addie would fall in love with. And that anyone would understand why Addie and these girls would go looking for Josh. He is a worthwhile person. He's definitely flawed. He has anger management issues, which I don't know. It's kind of common in TV. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen, I'm looking. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've seen guys throw computers, and it's so it was like it's a real thing, and so I thought it was really important to do that, and I don't remember what else we said, and also because it's my book, I want to be sexy.
Yeah.
It's my book.
No, and also not only that, but like I love that there's this like passionate love, because a lot of this book is about obsession.
Yes.
And it's about loyalty.
Yes.
And I feel like, of course, if you're gonna be torn between romantic love and kind of that obsessive love and loyalty to your friends and your family and to your own memories, then of course you're going to have that, because that's going to tear you apart.
Well, right. And that's what you kind of asked me, and I got caught off on like how hot Josh is. But like, so it's so
yes, that happened a lot.
Sorry,
when we were talking, I would be like, so this Josh, like, so tell me what he's feeling in this scene. Like, tell me.
And I'm like, Angie, then leave Josh alone.
Yes. And then she would be like, but he's just so hot. So like, can't we just leave it alone at that?
Yeah. I mean, so one of the major conflicts, and I think this happens to a lot of women in their 20s, is, you're just leaving college, and you have this kind of perfect life with these 4 friends, and you want to hold on to them. You want to hold on to that life, and you're going out in the real world, and the real world does not allow that. It is so hard to hold on to your friends as a woman. And then also competing with that. So these girls are all looking for like jobs. They can pay the rent because Georgetown is crazy expensive, and they want to stay together. And then some of them fall in love. And then that's kind of you just get pulled in many different directions. And I really, really like writing about different stages in women's lives. I think that each of our stages feels very different. You have different conflicts, and you have different ways of dealing with it. There's you're coming of age, and then you're coming out of college, and you're deciding who you love, who are your friends you're going to hold on to for dear life, who you might make a family with. And then when you make a family, that's a whole different thing. Then you have all these other issues. And then there's aging. So we have so many phases that I think are worth a story. And I think that's what I wanted to do.
And I think what you did so well with this, with the female friendships and with Josh too, is you didn't idealize it and you didn't make it cliche. You added depth to it by adding sort of very realistic and real world flaws that we can recognize our own lives and our own selves and our own relationships in. So Josh has flaws. The women have the female friendships. Let's not idealize that either. They can be catty. They can be ridiculous. They can, they can like complain about who gets what for the party that they're throwing at the last minute in the middle of a snowstorm in DC. And they can
they love.
Yeah, but they do have some real conflicts, like about money and like who pays for what in this in Georgetown, So I love that you dealt with that and were able to lead us to that in a very real way, so that it was kind of like a fable but set in a real world setting that we could recognize ourselves in.
I mean, I hope so. Thank you. Because I think times are kind of hard right now, and they're especially hard for people that age. And I really didn't want to be like, oh, all these kids are like totally wealthy and everything's easy and the parents are just, handing them stuff, although a couple of them were. but
And when they were, it was funny. It was so funny.
yeah,
But like in a bad way. I mean, or in a good way. I don't know. Yeah.
but I mean, I don't think that you can write about that time without recognizing the really tough. I think about I can't remember the poet's name, but she always said, but she wrote, "The world is no great gift that we give our children," and I think that it's true, especially when kids. They're not kids; they're women now, but you come out of college and all of a sudden you have to do things. You have to survive.
Yeah.
And it is not easy.
Yeah. And that's why it's so important that the women have each other to lean on.
Right. You're right. So they're creating their first community. That's
Yeah.
their family. They look out for each other.
And I mean, so, that aspect of it, I think really blends the personal with the social very well. And I think in another way that you do that is with respect to mental health and delusion, which is another huge theme, I think, that runs throughout this book. So, I mean, this book is a psychological thriller, first and foremost. I love this quote from Janelle Brown, who praised a best-selling author who praised it as a rumination. This book, Watch Us Fall, as a rumination on how grief and desire can distort reality. And she said, in that way, it's a very of the moment thriller. And I think that that when I read that today, thinking about, as I was preparing for this, I thought about how astute it is, you are, and your writing is, and how you write about grief and trauma, and how we process that by creating these stories for ourselves and sort of fictionalizing them and saying them out loud, both to ourselves and to other people, until we ourselves come to believe that. And so, in a personal way, we are creating this kind of like fictional reality in order to cope with our trauma. And as a society, and this feels very of the moment, we are doing that, I think, right now. And so much of the novel is about how social media, and through social media, the public is sort of like weaving these stories about Josh and his disappearance, and his Josh, who is white and from a very privileged, like wealthy background, and how he is involved in a romantic relationship with someone who's Black, and how like they try to spin that into something that it wasn't. And so you are once again marrying sort of the social with the personal and psychological, to make a point at a very overt level and a very like subtle level too. Was that intentional, or do you think that it's something that so many of your reviews have talked about that, but I wondered if that was something that you went for, or it's something that like you kind of subconsciously did?
So I always wanted to write a book about delusion. It scares me. I think it's the most terrifying thing in the world. I think that this kind of age of misinformation that we're in right now, where people don't listen to or are uninterested in experts or uninterested in facts, that they cherry pick the truth. For a long time, it's been just very terrifying for me. I grew up in journalism during the, I think, kind of golden age of information, when, I mean, gosh, I don't want to tell you how old I am, but like we didn't, but when we first got the cell phone, we were like, oh, this is going to be so great. It's not been great. It's not. And the internet, it's not been great. Social media, I mean, these are all tools that people have used to spread things that are not true. And what worries me is the rift that it causes. So I was always afraid of that, like on a social level. But for me, fiction is about how does that affect us in the most personal level? How does that get into kind of leach into our personal lives and keep us from loving? How can we love each other if we don't trust each other? How can we be together if we don't trust that the person that we're with isn't even listening to what we're saying or seeing. I really worry about lies. And one of the interesting things is how Josh says that he's basically honest, but he lies. I think that's the most honest thing you can say, because everybody lies, you know. But what he was most worried about in the book is the lies that people use to hold over you, to for power. That was his big concern. And in that way, I think that's really how Josh came to me, because I was just really interested in his terror of that. And I think it stems from his father.
Do you think that you knew? Because I actually can't remember. I was trying to think about this earlier because I was like, I must have known. I must know the answer to this question. And the question is, did you know the ending? Did you know like the trajectory that the story would take as you were writing it over the, like 4 or 5 years that you were writing it? Because we were talking in the very beginning, and I remember my last book, my second novel, was also about a missing man, which was funny when we realized that we had that.
We were like,
we were like, what is happening that like we're both writing about missing guys? Like, does that say something about like
what does
our
this
marriages
mean?
or our fathers or something? But what? But and I remember, like I told you, I had nothing about what was happening to like the father in my story who was missing. Did you know? I can't remember now.
I think I did. I mean, it came pretty early because I was like, uh-oh.
What is the uh-oh?
Uh-oh. I don't know if I want to write this. Yeah. So
yeah.
I think I knew. I don't remember.
Okay, so because you don't usually outline
No.
before
I
you
did
go.
this time for this third book.
I know you did. Yeah.
I learned my lesson.
All right. We'll talk about the third. She's already like basically done with her third book.
The point is,
Whereas like I, who had my last book came out 2 years ago, I'm not even like started with it. So I really don't want to talk about your third book. Thank you very much. We've established my jealousy over this whole writing process that you have. Okay. So anyway, but the ending, what I love about it is, okay, so Josh goes missing in the beginning. We are not going to spoil the ending.
yeah,
But the Publishers Weekly praised the pacing and the twisty reveals as we go through. And Alifair Burke, who apparently has her paperback of her latest novel out today, called it surprising and satisfying ending. And I wanted to ask you, like, about the ending. How did you? Because there is something about the ending that is just so perfect, and it's like one of these things that you read and you're like, oh my God, of course that had to happen. And I think these are the most satisfying endings, is when you get to it and you're like, I did not see that coming from anywhere. But then you like read it and you sit with it for a minute, and then you're like, well, of course that was. Like, why did I not see it? And you feel like an idiot that you didn't see it from the very beginning. Like, so did you, like, when in the writing process do you think that you came up with that? And also, you wrote the prologue that you just read to us before you wrote the ending.
Yeah.
So how did you do that?
So, well, the prologue is a bookend. There's like an epilogue, right? So I knew there had to be an epilogue.
Yeah,
And
but you kind of knew the emotional place that you wanted to end up in, because the prologue definitely talks about that. Right?
Yeah. What?
She's like,
No, I mean,
how did I write
I think I wrote the first draft. Didn't I write the first draft like really fast? And then I was like, uh-oh. I mean, I think I found it that, I don't remember.
I don't remember either.
This
yeah,
is so bad. I've had too much wine. I'm so
problem.
sorry.
This
the
is
worst.
the problem
They're never
with
gonna
like
bring us back here. You know
two
that, right?
premenopausal women talking, or no, not
Hey now.
pre, post menopausal women talking about like, we're like, I don't remember. Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that it felt to me. I wasn't trying to make it twisty, and I wasn't trying to trick anyone. I was trying to be as honest as I could about the situation within the head of these people. And I didn't even think of it as a twist like people talk about. It's just when, the characters, they don't know. There's something about, these two characters that they're just so lost. And it feels very modern to me, these people that don't know who they are. They just don't know who they are. And I felt so sorry for them. I'm like, well, let me tell you, you know.
Yeah.
And so that's what the reveal, that's kind of what the arc was, this person trying to figure out what actually even happened.
So, so one of the things that I thought was really, really interesting was that Josh is an investigative reporter, and he's he's trying to uncover these mysteries about his own past and about things in general. And so I think it's so interesting that you baked that sensibility into your story through him. And I wanted to ask you, and I know that we talked about this a tiny little bit, but with respect to your journalism background, you you worked for the Today Show, you were a TV producer, you worked with like Tim Rustert, who's like an icon, all that kind of stuff. So with respect to that, do you feel like that is something that you carried into the writing and into your fiction writing in general?
I think so. I think so. Don't we carry everything?
But how? But so how do you think that informs? Is it just by virtue of the career that one of your characters has? Like you had in The Cutaway, your debut, your protagonist was an actual TV producer.
Yeah, she was easier to write.
so that was like, yeah, she was very, very. Yeah. But like here, that was much more just sort of like baked into like, like the novel's arc, and in this one of the characters. But you like had to have it, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's Josh is obsessed with truth and lies, like I'm obsessed with truth and lies.
And do you think that comes from your background in journalism?
I think I probably got into journalism because I'm obsessed with truth and lies.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't
know, but like, doesn't seem to be all the journalists are like that.
Okay,
so I can't really say.
But also, can I just do one thing that's like I didn't tell you? Okay. So speaking of journalism, can I just like toast to your husband for 1 second? It was Joe's last day, as I understand.
On the set or on the set.
On being on the set today. In the video room, and so we talked about you a little bit in a fancy TV thing that Christina did in Georgetown earlier today.
You talked your name in an
and
interview.
So we were talking about you, and I wanted to let you know that we were talking about you, and that we toast to you. So let's toast to Joe too.
Free Joe.
Strong journalism men. All right. Okay. Everybody start who have people who have questions, please start lining up, and I'm gonna like ask 2 last questions because we're like getting to that time when we have to get to the audience Q&A, and they kick us out, and Susan's like giving me these looks. So all right, but if nobody lines up, I'm just gonna keep on asking my own questions, so that's fine with me. All right, so the next question. So seriously, people, start going to the microphone. Okay, but I'm gonna ask one question first. So I want to ask a question about the setting, because we are in DC. So Kelly Garrett, who is an amazing crime writer, said no one writes about DC like Christina Kovac, and I think that's totally, totally true. Why Georgetown? Why DC itself? Instead of the Maryland suburb where you live. Yeah, why? I just wanted to ask.
I write about DC with longing, I think. I love the city. I love the people in it. I think it's the most beautiful city. I've been to a whole bunch of cities. I don't care. It's just the most beautiful city. People don't understand it. They talk about it all the time like they know it, and they don't know it. They don't know the people here. They don't know the wonderful little neighborhoods. They don't know the places to just to go and hang out, just the different flavors of each place. They don't know how big and beautiful the parks are, and how dangerous they are, and how extraordinary the city is, extraordinarily patient with people who don't understand. And I love it, and I think it's easier to write about a thing when you're far away from it, because I can focus in on, like, I love the C&O Canal. I love Georgetown. My daughter was thinking about going there, and thank God she didn't, so I could write the book. Thank you. You know, I loved. I thought it was the greatest honor of my life to report news in D.C. I just thought it was the greatest honor of my life to have people in DC invite me into their home and tell me about, you know, sometimes some of their worst days. And I think what I love most about it is that it 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 survives always. It's so tough. It will take all kinds of crap and it will come back better.
And also, like with respect to just listening to you talk about it, the nature of delusion and the stories that we tell ourselves, and the fronts that we need to, so the veneers that we need to hide what's inside, especially if that thing that's inside is ugly. That's a thing that DC knows how to do, or
Oh,
tries to do,
right.
So it's like very appropriate from that perspective.
Right. Well, official Washington.
Right.
Which is a very different place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Audience Q&A.
Hi, Jim.
Go ahead.
I'll start with a statement, and I think
Jim.
the Capitol Dome always looks better on a jacket cover than, say, Rockville Pike. I don't know. That's just me.
True story.
The book is written very much in the moment, and it's written in the voice of, like, my daughter's voice.
Oh, nice.
And Lucy's trauma, her need and desire to be in with this group where may feel like she's outkicked her coverage in terms of class and position in life, and social media, how much of the combination of all those things came together to make a character that suffered from this sort of mental illness of delusion, and those things are they like the perfect storm for her?
Yeah. No, that's a really great question. I love her for those reasons. You know, I love her for her. I always imagined her from a place from far away. You find that it's just so typical of college towns. I mean, Georgetown isn't just a college town, but, you know, she's coming to college and she's coming from a place very far away and very different. And she's very aware of her lack. And she's very aware that she's fallen in love with these girls and she wants them to love her back. And she's not strong enough yet. It takes us a little while, you know? It takes us a little while. And, but then, you know, the things that she does to make them love her too is a thing that is a kind of origin story that she gets stuck with. So yeah, no, I really appreciate that question because I actually did spend the most time with her. I found her difficult. She was a tricky character. Yeah.
But I love that you said that because that's one of the things that I loved about it was that people write about friendships in very different ways than they write about romantic, you know, especially teenage or post-teenage years, relationships. And I think that your book portrayed so much obsession in these friendships and romantic relationships in a way that they felt very much of the same ilk, and made the argument that they are very similar. That you do have some of the same dynamics in friendships, the same obsessions, the same like petty jealousies, all of these things that happen with romances that we talk about all the time often happen with friendships and we don't talk about
and
it.
Deep devotion. Deep devotion. Yeah, among
Absolutely.
girlfriends. I mean, I think that girlfriends can have some of them are arguably as romantic as you can feel for a man.
Absolutely.
Arguably.
To the point where I asked you once, like I was like, is Lucy, like, is she lesbian, do you think? Or is she bi? Or, you know? And you were like, oh, yeah. Go ahead, Jenny.
I did.
On top of that,
Aren't you lucky?
so I met a bunch of your writing group partners today.
Oh,
Yes,
our writing
they're
groups.
yeah, the writing
like
group.
everywhere.
They're all
sprinkled.
here. So, how do you feel like being part of a writing group that appears to have been together for quite some time?
Yeah.
How does that help you stay on track? Sort of make you accountable? Did you feel like it helped you along, or did it make you feel pressure because Angie was waiting to read some more, and where was it?
I find writing to be so lonely. You know, I came from a newsroom where there was constant noise and people, and we loved each other and hated each other, and you know, it was just constant drama. And then to come home and sit in a, get up in the morning at like 6, and then go straight to the desk and start writing till like 2. It's very lonely. And so for me, the first thing, and this is what I love about writers, there's so many writers who do this. It's about community, a community of writers. So that's like the first thing. The second thing is I don't know. I mean, I think everyone would agree here. You just need a fresh eye. You know, I can be a little obsessive. You can be a little, I noticed you were a little obsessive.
Absolutely.
A little bit. And so it's really good to say, hey, am I like spending way too much time on this paragraph? And the answer is almost always yes. Yeah.
But
So-
they were. I still remember being in the beach condo,
Yeah.
and I would force you to like listen to me recite a particular paragraph, and I believe it was about Fleabag, the TV show.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you think that's funny? Do you think that like if I made the of into a to, that would be funnier? And I like, do you remember this?
Yeah.
There was one day.
That was not the only time you did that.
Well, okay, fine. Thank you. But like we did stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that we did
Yeah.
was in the beginning of the pandemic in June of 2020, in addition to our writing group where we actually exchanged work and did workshopping, we also had a silent Zoom group where we would, like with writers across the country, like 8 of us or something like that, we would just like all turn on Zoom and like try to write, and basically and we would all mute. We were all muted, and we would like be like, okay, for the next 3 hours, unless you have to go to the bathroom or something, you're staying here on camera, and we're just gonna all write.
That sounds so weird, right?
Okay,
You're making
it
this sound like
is weird. It
weirdness.
doesn't just sound weird. It is weird, but we did it.
Yeah.
And that's how
It
we
was
wrote
good.
our
Yeah.
books.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten our pages.
No, that's true.
Okay, so speaking of writing groups, one of our writing group members, Dennis, woohoo!
Hi, good evening.
Can everybody from somebody who is in a writing group with Christina raise their hands? I just want to see everybody. Look at how many of us. Oh, I love
Look
this.
how much help I need.
Okay.
Well, and I read a little bit of this,
Yeah, you
but
did.
like a much earlier draft, so I
Right.
never read the whole thing. So it's all new to me. And I have a question. It's kind of a nerdy question.
That's cool.
It's sort of a writerish question. I hope it doesn't put the audience
I
to
love
sleep
Love
at
those.
this hour of the night. But so your protagonist is in the first person, right? The first person point of view.
Yes.
And then, the guy,
Josh.
is in the third person.
Yeah.
I don't know that I don't always pay attention to point of view, but I don't think you see that much.
No.
And did that, obviously that wasn't an accident, right? You did it deliberately. Could you just say, why did you do that? And did it get you someplace that you couldn't have gotten to if you hadn't done it? Thanks.
Yeah, so it's a huge pain in the ass. I mean, no. I think the most challenging thing about it always was the structure and the point of view. I mean, it just always was, because it was a little bit different, and that's what kind of threw me off and took a bunch of edits. I knew that. Look, my thing is, I just always feel like everybody should get a fair shake. Every character. And so I knew that I could tell Addie's side of things from Lucy, the protagonist, the narrator, and her friends. But who vouches for Josh? And I think, and this doesn't happen all the time in thrillers, certainly, but I never really I feel like it's if a person goes missing, I'd like to know who that person is to care. Like, there's so many missing people in the world. There's so many bad things that happen. Like, tell me who this person is. I just have a yearning to kind of know what their heart is and who they love, what matters to them. I want to kind of feel them kind of texturally on the page. And that was really my only way to do it, because he largely did not like the friends. So, and once that kind of happened, I thought, oh, I got to figure this out. And so that's sort of how it came about. But I ended up really liking it because his whole line kind of mirrored the other line. So I was kind of they kind of mirrored off of each other and talked to each other, the different POVs. So I think it worked.
It's funny because I feel like even though he's a guy, Josh's third person, I really hear your voice, like
Probably.
your personal voice.
Really?
Yeah.
More than Lucy?
Much more than Lucy, because you're not like a delusional psychopathic lunatic. I hope. I mean, I don't know. Joe. All right. Okay. Yeah. And we were being so nice to you from up here. No, but I feel like there's that humor, and it's a very dry, wry, sarcastic humor that you have. That whenever, I think that's why I love Josh so much. Whenever I read him, I was like, oh, this is the way that Christina would just talk about something, and just all of the F-bombs and all of that, like all of that just came up, which was great. I loved it. Okay, so I want to ask you a couple of questions, unless other people, and please, if you have any other questions, please feel free to come up. But I wanted to ask you about the title, Watch Us Fall. And you wrote a really poignant, beautiful essay in People magazine about this, and about Watch Us Fall, and that title, but more the meaning behind it, but also what that meant to you. And so I just wanted to ask you about that. It was originally called The Mansion on O Street, I want to say. The House on O Street, something about the O Street, which I really liked. But then when you said Watch Us Fall, when you were like, oh, nobody likes this, and so I have to change it. And I was like, they're all idiots. And then you said, oh, it's going to be Watch Us Fall. I was like, oh, that is a good title. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the origin story of that, and to the extent that you want to, or you can, like what that meant to you.
Yeah. So,
and also it's just everybody just go and Google People magazine, Christina Kovac, and read this amazing essay that she wrote, which is it just made me cry. It was so amazing.
So Watch Us Fall. I always had this feeling of like a kind of falling action. And the book really is about, in so many ways, the way that we fall in love, the way that we fall apart, the way that we fall. It always had that sort of action for me. Even like remember in chapter 2 when they jump into the river, and there was always this, and then they're on the rooftop, and they're afraid that they're going to fall. But mostly what they're afraid of is that they're going to fall apart. Yeah. And so that was just sort of always my feeling about it. So then the title was like, oh, duh. When you hit the title and you're like, oh, this is right. So anyway, so that was the title. And then gosh, we only have a minute. So I'm just going to,
I think we started late, so we can go like a
Susan's
couple
like, no.
minutes.
Susan's
Susan's
like, no, wrap it up.
I don't know,
No.
2 minutes.
So I had this title, and then my editor was thrilled about it, and she said it fit the book really well. And then, and then we had a family tragedy, and then I was kind of, my brother-in-law, he fell. We'll leave it at that.
I remember when that happened.
Yeah,
and it was really, and you had so much guilt about that.
Which was really dumb.
No, it
No,
wasn't
dumb
dumb.
go.
I think
But
it's human.
but anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
so we got through that, and then we have the really,
Yeah.
this really lovely title that worked for the book, and everybody's better now, and that's what I love.
Like metaphorically in so many different ways,
Yeah.
and I just love it. And it also ties in so well, I think, to the cover. And we're gonna end on this note, Susan. She's like looking at us like, another question? Okay, but this is a lovely question that actually has to do with Susan. Carl, who is our introducer. So can you tell us about the cover,
Right.
which I think is just so perfect?
I love it. I love it. It was as typical whenever you get a new book, the first cover they give you is always hideous, and you're always like, oh my God, this is horrible. Luckily, Angie and I had gone to Susan's launch for her wonderful book. Which one was it?
She has so many
I
books
know, she writes like
that we don't even remember which book it was. What was it, Susan?
That's real life, right? And it was at this beautiful house in Georgetown on R Street. And Angie and I walked in, and I had this sense of deja vu. I was like, Angie, this is the house. I've been writing about this house. This is the girl's house. And she's like, what are you even talking about? And I was like, okay, the staircase is there, and the front room is here, and
the
middle,
piano.
and the
Remember the
piano,
piano?
and the turret. And so it was just so weird. All night I was at this party for Susan's wonderful book, and I was actually in the home of Lucy, Addie, Penelope. Anyway, so when we left, we just took a picture, and as a joke, we sent it to my agent, Dan. We were like, ha, 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 we were at this book that looks just like the house. And he's like, oh, that's really cool. And then we forgot about it. And then a year later, they came out with this really bad cover. And then Dan's like, you know what? I'm sending them the picture. So he did. And then they ended up making this beautiful which I thought was really important, because it really is about, the family of girls that live in this house. And so I just loved it.
And if anybody wants to see that picture that we sent that inspired this cover, I have it on my phone, because I was showing it to everybody earlier downstairs. So come find me, and
we
I
looked a
will
little
happily show it to you. I'm totally drunk, and it's fine. Okay. Thank you so much, Politics and Prose, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Everybody go and buy multiple copies of this wonderful book, because it will make amazing Christmas, Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, whatever gifts. Thank you.